And now, here for you, this is News Views, a newscast for Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, and the world. This is Bill Ratner speaking. And now, Michael Badger.
Hello and welcome to News View. I'm Michael Badger, and this is the 100th Friday edition of News View. Jason, the cameraman and computer operator, has provided me with this lovely Little Debbie Cosmic Brownie, which I will now eat while we take a break and play a PSA. Enjoy the PSAs. I'll be right back with news after this.
Claro que sí, mami. Mira.
Tanto, mi
Yo
amor.
también. No puedo creer que empiezo las clases en 2 semanas.
Mi amor, todos los papeles para la beca de la Guardia Nacional ya están listos.
¿Verdad?
Sí.
Qué bueno.
Estoy tan feliz que estás en casa.
Yo también.
Tengo
¿Quieres ir a
tanta
comer? Sí.
Únete a la familia de la Guardia Nacional sin dejar la tuya. Infórmate más en nationalguard.com.
Now we know an unborn baby is a human life. See what we've been missing.
Trees are terrific!
Who perches on the branches, lives among the leaves. Friendly Carly Cardinal, talking about trees.
Sometimes people take for granted about the best things ever planted, but they should be enchanted, should appreciate their trees.
Trees, Carly's Arbor Day Foundation spreads the word across the nation about trees.
Trees are terrific!
Hello, I just ate the brownie. We might save that clip and put it in some other time. Like I said, it's the 100th Friday edition. I've already done 100 regular programs, counting Mondays. But here's the first news story for tonight. The University of Illinois Campus Faculty Association is looking into starting its own union. They say at the U of I in Champaign-Urbana that President Hogan, president of the University of Illinois, is being sided with by the U of I's Board of Trustees. This isn't sitting well with the faculty, and they would like to see Hogan resign, I believe. And in other news, Postal Service has decided to close post office in Illinois, but Democrat Durbin hopes to avoid the cuts. This is Dateline Champaign, excuse me. The U.S. Postal Service said that it has decided to go ahead with plans to close some of its processing centers in the state of Illinois. the Postal Service says it needs to close more than 200 of them and eliminate 28,000 jobs, mostly through attrition and retirement because of the 25% drop in the amount of first-class mail since 2006. No date is set for the consolidations, though. And in Illinois, the Postal Service said it plans to move mail processing operations from Bloomington to Peoria and Champaign, and from Carbondale and Centralia to Evansville, Indiana, and from Effingham to Champaign, and from Quincy to Columbia and Springfield to St. Louis. Now you can see that would be a rerouting of the entire postal system at this time. Another University of Illinois news, we moved to sports. Oh, that last story was from the AP, by the way. This one's from the Chicago Tribune and from Stephen Rosenblum, who says Bruce Weber is as good as gone. In his opinion, Bruce Weber was honest, quote, but a bit confused, unquote. But he loves him for that, he says, and the media is regularly calling for honesty, he says, but there seems to be no room for that these days if you want to stay employed. Weber called out Mayor Leonard by name and giving the feeling that the Illinois big man was big nothing unless threatened with benching the way he was at halftime Wednesday, says Steve Rosenblum. Looks like Bruce Weber is probably going to be out. Some people are very happy about this, and some probably aren't. Centennial High School student was in a car crash recently, according to WCIA at WCIA.com. Now, tragedy is bringing the high school Centennial. There's also a high school named Central, but we're talking about Centennial this time. Centennial's raising money to help badly injured Ryan Schaffer. One of his friends, Mohammed teenager Austin Dyson, died in the crash, and to Ryan's friends, it's a miracle he made it out of the crash alive. Brittany Verhoeven said, quote, I cried a lot and just prayed that everything would get better, but we didn't know what to do because this had never happened to me before, quote unquote, says Brittany Verhoeven. Choir teacher Marion Wyatt is helping students raise money for the Children's Miracle Network, and she also thought of a way to help Ryan's family pay for his 5 surgeries, and she says, quote, we knew we wanted to do something, and we wanted to do something quick and school-wide, unquote, says Wyatt. And Ryan's friends expect him back in school in April. Busey Bank is accepting donations to the Ryan Schaffer Fund. You can see more about that at illinoishomepage.net or WCIA.com. And in other news, USA Today says baseball Pirates pitcher A.J. Burnett will undergo a surgery Friday. Well, he probably did today, since it's Friday night when you'll see this, to repair a fractured right orbital bone. His right-handed pitcher injured himself Wednesday at the team's spring training facilities in Bradenton, Florida, after a bunt attempt that hit his face, where the ball hit, and he flew to Pittsburgh late Wednesday to be further evaluated, it says. He's 35 years old, and they don't know when he can return. And in other news, Microsoft, the last story was USA Today. This one is computerworld.com. Microsoft has released Windows Server 8 beta. And near the public preview of Windows 8, Microsoft has released a beta version of its Windows Server 8 operating system. Announced last September, Windows Server 8 updates the code base for Microsoft's flagship server operating system, the current version, which is Windows Server 2008. The beta version will allow administrators to test the operating system and offer feedback to Microsoft as it finalizes the software for commercial release. Microsoft didn't disclose when the final production-ready version of the operating system would be available for purchase. If you want to see more about that, go to Computer World under Topics, Operating Systems, and News. According to the AP, Associated Press, North Korea is thinking of making a deal and will attend a security conference with the United States, somebody told them that negotiations between Washington and Pyongyang, told the Associated Press this Thursday. And according to NPR and the Associated Press is where they got this story, a woman accused of running her 9-year-old granddaughter to death as punishment, this is a follow-up, for eating chocolate was captured on a school bus videotape saying she planned to run the child till she can't run no more, quote unquote. Prosecutor told a judge Thursday this in announcing capital murder charges. Jared, age 46, and Samantha's stepmother, 27-year-old Jessica May Harden, were both charged in the child's death last month. Authorities say the older women made the child run for 3 hours as punishment, and the younger woman, who was 9 months pregnant at the time, has since given birth, and they did nothing to intervene. District Attorney Jimmy Harp said a grand jury begins meeting Monday and will likely consider the case. Authorities say medics responded to the 911 call, found the child having seizures in the family's mobile home on February 17th. And you can see more about that at npr.org. And the Christian Science Monitor has a story here from the Associated Press that a Montana judge has apologized for a racist email about Obama's mama, quote unquote. The Montana chief federal judge said he was, quote unquote, anti-Obama, but not a racist. The judge forwarded a joke about President Obama's mother and bestiality. And in other news, a crisis of sorts is happening in Galesburg, according to WQAD.com, Channel 8 there. They're calling it a crow crisis in Galesburg. Crows are leaving droppings every place in Galesburg, which is in Knox County, Illinois. This happens every year, but it seems the crows are getting more clever. Experts say the crows come to roost in downtown areas mainly because they generate more heat than the rural parts of town in the winter time. And in other news, the new Google privacy policy has law enforcement holes, say experts, according to Helen A.S. Popkin at the MSNBC Tech blog. As of Thursday, whatever you do on one Google-owned site will change whatever you see on another Google property because it's Google's search engine. And that includes Docs, Maps, Calendar, Gmail, Picasa, YouTube, G+, and etc. The ACLU's blog says that this is a problem and, quote, Google is now saying that it has the right to collect all your call records, including who you call, when, for how long you talk, and SMS routing information. It doesn't say if this applies to only calls made through Google's services or if it is referring to calls you make on your mobile phone. After all, it already told us that it has the right to associate your device identifiers or phone number with your Google account and to collect device-specific information. Google, are you going to monitor our call logs now? Stay tuned for clarification on this point. And that's a quote from the ACLU's blog regarding Google's new privacy and policy. And in other news, according to the New York Daily News at nydailynews.com, questions have arisen now that Justin Bieber's birthday is apparently yesterday or Thursday. This Thursday, Justin Bieber has turned 18 years of age, and they say that means he can join the Canadian Army, work in an underground mine, or buy lotto tickets and vote for the next Prime Minister of Canada if he so chooses, says this story. They say he may also be making a more immediate wish that he can find a way to keep the Justin Bieber brand rolling now that he's older. His job description the last 2.5 years has been International Teenage Heartthrob, a position that Forbes magazine says has been paying him $53 million a year and presumably comes with all sorts of perks that a fellow would really like to keep. It is also, however, precarious. They say the coincidence of Bieber turning 18 just hours after the death of one of the most accomplished teen heartthrob predecessors, Davy Jones of the Monkees, underscores a parallel between Bieber and all teen heartthrobs back to Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley. Once you've made your play and gotten into this game, the clock starts ticking. The public swallows teen idols the way contestants in a hot dog eating contest gulp down wieners, they say. They're reaching for the next one before the first one is gone, and they're always in an endless supply of next ones. Will he get new records, movies, or a TV series? Justin Bieber's task for next year is to stay at the same altitude. And we'll see what happens with that probably, because probably everybody is going to be talking about that. Maybe not. Maybe he'll disappear. I don't know. It doesn't look that way right now, though, but you never know. And according to the BBC's health section, sleep quality may improve with age. The previous thoughts on this may be false, that older people tend to suffer worse sleep. And this is according to U.S. researchers who conducted a telephone survey of more than 150,000 adults. And they say that apart from that, from a blip in your 40s, sleep quality gets better the older you get. Those in their 80s reported the best sleep, says a study in Sleep Journal. A UK sleep researcher said while poor health could affect sleep, it was a myth that age alone was a factor. And you can read more about that online. And in other news, Andrew Breitbart died in L.A. Yesterday at age 43. This according to the Associated Press. The conservative media publisher and activist who died Thursday was embraced by anti-tax conservative Tea Partiers and reviled by liberals for his internet investigations that brought down politicians and chastised mainstream journalism. They say he was both loved and hated, and he was 43 years old. He was behind investigations that led to the resignation of former Representative Anthony Weiner of New York and former U.S. Agriculture Department official Shirley Sherrod. They say that his loudmouth style was lionized by his fans for exposing government corruption and media bias, and he was often using Twitter, including his final Twitter message that called the fellow a quote-unquote putz. And I would just like to have a moment of silence for Andrew Breitbart. Okay, that should do it. And I'll come back with weather after this.
My husband says social drinking is part of business because it relaxes everyone. But when he comes home, he's not very relaxed. Almost anything will set off an argument. My sister is a psychiatrist. Even though my husband is too successful to be an alcoholic, she told me that I should try Al-Anon family groups. I didn't expect to find anyone in my situation there. I really didn't want to be embarrassed. I'm a very private person. It was actually a great relief to find people who had personal experience that meant something to me. There was nothing uncomfortable about that. I'm still a very private person, but Al-Anon members respect that. I can't get my husband to change his drinking habits, but I don't have to fight with him every night either. I was surprised at how quickly I was able to benefit from Al-Anon. Are you troubled by someone's drinking? You might be surprised at what you could learn in an Al-Anon family group meeting from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or visit AlanonFamilyGroups.org.
It's another disaster, Goliath.
Oh, Davy.
I sure am glad that God is there.
God is there?
God is there through the hands of the people who help after a disaster.
Shouldn't we help?
You're right, Goliath.
Let's go ask the grown-ups to help too.
To see how you can help, contact Lutheran Disaster Response at elca.org/disaster.
Hi, I'm Michael Badger. This is your NewsView weather forecast for the weekend. Friday night, a 40% probability of precipitation or POP, or POP, a low 31 degrees. Saturday night, partly sunny skies, high of 41 degrees Fahrenheit, could be windy. Saturday night, 28 degrees Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy skies. Sunday, 39 degrees with a 30% chance of rain. Sunday night, 25 degrees Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy. This has been your NewsView weather for South Central Illinois.
Next at 9:30 p.m. or 12:30 a.m. At 9:30, Fast Forward Contemporary Science Fiction. And at 12:30, R&R TV.
Our kids have big things ahead of them, and we need to protect our most precious cargo. But it's estimated that 3 out of 4 car seats are used incorrectly. To make sure your child's future is properly secured, be sure to have your child safety seat checked by a certified technician and follow these 4 steps. Step 1. Use rear-facing seats to age 2. Step 2. Install forward-facing seats for toddlers. Use the 5-point harness for the maximum height and weight. Step 3. Use booster seats for big kids to make sure the safety belt fits them correctly. This applies to children up to at least age 8 and those over 4'9" tall. Step 4. Safety belts for everyone, every trip, every time. So remember, Illinois law requires a booster seat until age 8. Children under age 13 should ride in the back seat. That's where they are safest. It is illegal for anyone under the age of 18 in Illinois to ride in the bed of a pickup truck. For more information on protecting your child's future and to find a free child safety seat check near you, visit the website buckleupillinois.org.